Hi everyone. Our role as light workers is to anchor the light on this planet, but it's not always easy to stay in alignment and to be of service when there is so much drama going on in the world. So it's really all about finding balance between our inner peace, our inner reality, and to stay aware with what's going on in the world. It's really about the middle way, which is probably one of the most important teachings from the Buddha. So we came here on Earth to experience this contrast and this duality between light and dark, the yin and the yang. And when we focus solely on one extreme, so for example when we focus our attention too much on what's going on TV, on social media, on the radio, in the papers, then, and so on the shadow, our reality becomes imbued with that shadow and we also make it grow. But on the other side, if we only stay in our inner peace, in our inner reality, we kind of isolate ourselves from the world. So between focusing only on what's bad, on focusing on the news, and living like a hermit on a mountain and be in a state basically of denial, there is a balance to find. When we focus on TV or on the news feeds on social media or on the radio or what is written in the papers, then we are focused on the reality that is served to us. We are focused on a bubble reality that is offered to us. And very often the danger is that we are kind of sucked into the drama of these realities. So on the other side, when we focus on the surroundings, on the reality that is around us, we have a much more tangible reality that is present. And so there is often a thin line between these two realities, and we actually come and go through these realities, but it's only very just important to be aware of that and to also be aware that the true reality in which we are is the one that is around us, and it's not the reality that is offered or sometimes imposed on us by all these medias such as TV, internet, etc. We must also be aware that life is a play. And so we are playing out characters, so this really helps us to understand that we must not take life so seriously, because we are all going to die one day, and even death doesn't really exist because death is only a transition to another state, another form. So by knowing that, we can really use, I think, one of the most powerful tools there is for transmutation, and that is laughter and humor in general. So I'm not saying that we should laugh at people suffering or when we see, cruel images, etc. We should have compassion for those who are suffering. But I'm thinking about, for example, politics, which are like the theater play within the play. If we laugh at what is going on the scene of politics, then it's much easier for us to actually integrate what is going on. But since many of us are also empaths, it's difficult to not be completely disconnected from the collective, because sometimes we can feel very strong emotions coming up from the collective. For example, when there are important days such as Election Day, or when there are important events such as terrorist attacks or whatever. On the other hand, there are also some of us that find it difficult to actually really look at all these negative things happening in the world. So it's true that we should not dwell on these things, otherwise we make them grow, we make them bigger, but we should not deny them completely either. And what I see a lot in the spiritual and New Age community is really this resistance regarding all the negative subjects and the shadow in general. It's like in a very religious family, you don't talk about sex because it's taboo. Well, it's the same with the negative and the shadow in the spiritual communities. It's like it's bad, it's wrong to talk about that. But the thing that we should be aware of is that this resistance is actually fear. Because when we feel that we should elevate ourselves or move away from all the negative things, it can be sometimes a kind of coping mechanism or an avoidance strategy. And we should simply understand that resistance is fear. So if we fear to look at the negative things because we fear to feed those negative things, then we are actually in fear. So the analogy I would like to make here regarding this resistance we can sometimes feel towards the negative things is the analogy with photography. So when there is too much light, when there is only light on a photograph, when it's overexposed, we can't see anything. And it's the same when it's underexposed, when it's too dark, when there's only darkness, we can't see anything. The fact that we can see something and we can actually see the real picture, the bigger picture, is because there is this contrast between light and shadow. So it's very much the same in our earth plane reality. It's this contrast between light and dark that allows us to see the bigger picture and to actually see the entirety of the reality we live in. The attitude we can adopt is actually to embrace this negative and to integrate it, and then we can send love, and then we can send a blessing. Because if we have an attitude of resistance towards that thing, and then we think, no, I don't want to watch that, but I'm going to send some love anyway, then there are two different energies that we are emitting, the love energy and the fear energy, so it doesn't work that way. So I'm not saying that we should force ourselves to actually watch, very difficult and cruel images. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that we should just realize that we should just embrace what is, and simply integrate it in our hearts, thinking, okay, this exists, it is there, I see it, and I am here to help it to help transmute this. So just by this intention, then we can send love and we can send the blessing. So as light workers, we're sometimes annoyed, or we can feel somehow impatient towards people who don't want to wake up, or people who continue to believe what they have been told all their life. But the thing we must understand is that the awakening process is not an easy process, okay? It's a process that requires a lot of humility, because the ego must admit that he has been lied to all his life, that he has been manipulated, that he has been deceived, and most of all the beliefs that he has been fed, that he completely identifies with. Once we start challenging those beliefs, it's almost like the ego sees it as a death. So this is why so many even intelligent and cultured people have difficulties to actually admit all of that. As lightworkers, we can sometimes feel a superiority complex because we have this feeling that we're sometimes 10, 20, 30 years ahead the majority of people. But this is also a trap, because there is no such thing. We're not inferior or superior to anything or anyone. There is no such thing in the universe. I see this more like we are seeds of light in the field of consciousness, in this reality, in this earth plane reality. And so we must simply be aware that every soul has his journey, every soul has his path of expansion, of evolution, and we are all different, and we must absolutely respect all these differences. So I will share with you a little exercise that we can do when we feel out of alignment, to align ourselves again with our source. So the word spirituality comes from the Latin word spiritus, which means breath. This means it's through the breath that we connect to our source, it's through the breath that we connect to spirit. And this is why it is very important to be aware of our breath, to stay present to our breath. And it is also through the breath that we take in the life force energy, the prana, the chi. So we can simply imagine that on the inhale, we are inhaling all the peace and the love that comes from Source. And we can imagine a channel of lights descending through our crown chakra or through the heart. And on the exhale, we are simply letting go all the fear, the anger, the sadness that we might feel. And we are giving it back to the universe so it can transmute it. And once we feel that we are done, that we have released enough, we can continue to take that same inhale, inhaling this love and this peace. But this time, on the exhale, we are expanding it into our auric magnetic field, and we can see it and feel it grow the more we do that. And once we feel that is enough as well, we can simply put the intention to expand that energy, that love and that peace out from our field into the room we are in, or the place. Then we can expand it to our house, or a building. Then we can expand it to the city, the region, the country, the continent, and then we expand it to the entire planet.